If I've learned anything from my complete inability to navigate even the simplest forms of public transportation, it's that I'm not a real connections guy, unless we're talking about the guitar fretboard. So today we're connecting some stuff you might already know by learning different chord voicings in the same key of the same chord, and then tying it all together with some fun little solo stuff, right? So this is gonna be C major 7. I feel like 80% of the guitar lessons I post on YouTube are just an excuse to trick people into learning major 7 chords. But here we go, we're continuing. We're starting with the A string rooted major 7 chord voicing. I'm playing it on this beautiful Luna Vista Eagle guitar. This video is sponsored by Sweetwater and Luna. Affiliate link in the description for the guitar. I unboxed it in another video and did a performance with it, so check that out. But C major 7, 3 on the A string with your pointer finger, ring finger, power chord right there, 5D, middle finger, 4G, that's what makes it major 7, pinky 5 on the B string, okay? So this is a C, an E, a G, and B note. Only 4 different notes. Just like basically anytime I try to take a train, I usually miss my stop at least 4 times, right? This is much simpler, all right? Now, any combination of C, E, and G and B will give you a C major 7 chord. The next voicing we're gonna do actually connects this, right? So no matter what chords you're using, and again, these are movable shapes. So what I mean by that is, this is C major 7, C sharp major 7, D major 7, D sharp major 7, E major 7, F major 7, right? This shape, if you see where your ring finger and your pinky are, right? The 7th fret, you just move your pointer finger and then grab this one, okay? Now all you caged people who probably take Uber Black, you elitist caged people, you probably know this one, where this is like a G major shaped chord, right? If you just take like, you know, if you think of a G major, just the bottom 4 strings on the guitar, it's open D, open G, open B, 3. Well, just like that, G major 7 is... So anytime you think of where the major root note is on the high E string, let's say a C, because we're doing a C major 7 to start with, we just take that, go 1 fret back, that gives you the major 7, and then bar the bottom 4 strings next to it, and that gives you the major 7 chord. C major, C major 7, C major 7, connect that right there. Now again, it's the same chord essentially, but there are a lot of different uses for why you might use one of these depending on when you're in the neck. For instance, like if I'm playing C major 7 in a different key totally, like G, right? Let's say I'm just using the 4 chord on a G and I want to go there. Something about the major 7 chord on the 4 chord has a very eagle flying. I'm trying to point to the eagle right there. It's like an eagle, a beautiful eagle flying through the sunset is a 1 to major 7 4 chord. So that makes more sense maybe efficiency-wise to go there or there. Or if you want to maybe get a little fancier. See how it's just a different vibe, right? But it's really good to be able to connect these. So we're gonna continue on and add another stop right here. We're gonna pivot off that B string, that B note on the high E string, 7th fret, right? So we're thinking of this, but now we're gonna swap your pinky for your pointer finger, and then we're gonna staircase it down. One of my favorite chord voicings ever. There's something really just like having the major 7 on top, and especially just leading up into it like this. It's very piano-like because you're just, especially look how good that looks with the Luna sunset in the background. My goodness, right? Everything about this is very educational based chord voicing because here's our root note, your pinky on 10 on the D string, and then again, like I said, staircase. What I mean by that is just down a string, back a fret. So 10D, 9G. There's this major 3rd. Then your middle finger's got the B string right there, 8th fret. So that's root note, major 3rd, it's 5th, and then the major 7 on top there. And then again, major triad, major 7, major triad, major 7, major triad, major 7, right? So we're learning a lot just by kind of taking one group of notes and then pushing them together, right? And especially just practicing like this, I think is a great way to kind of get your fingers just in like totally different shapes, right? Because this is a much different shape than this, which is a much different shape than this. I had a lot of difficulty being able to just jump into this shape because it is kind of, it's tough. You don't really get to cheat. Like with this one right here, I can kind of smudge my fingers together and cheat a little bit, which we're going to talk about in just a second when we get to the second half of this lesson. But I've got one more major 7 chord voicing to throw at you in this same position, right? So we're gonna pivot now off your middle finger, right? This is all about having kind of like a common connection. The first common connection here is gonna be the fret that your ring finger and your pinky are on, which lines you up with this. Then the connection is the note that your pinky is on is being switched for your pointer finger, right? Now the next connection is right where your middle finger is. We keep it there. And then we get a lower voiced root note. We're going a full octave lower on that C, which is now the 8th fret of the low E string, right? So we've got C, then we have the major 7 right here, which is the D string, 9th fret, and then the G string, 9th fret, which is major 3rd, and then the middle finger is gonna be right here on the 8th fret. Okay, so I'm skipping the A string, I'm just kind of muting it my pointer finger right here, right? So all together, all these 4 chord voicings are going to be voicing 1, voicing 2, voicing 3, voicing 4, right? Now let's do something a little musical to get ourselves back to the beginning, right? Because it's one thing to kind of just go here and where'd you end up? Just like me at the end of the train line, at the end of the red line, have no idea where I am. Hopefully this thing goes in a circle and I can just get back to where I start. That's what we're doing. We're making a circuit. We're making a loop. Didn't even plan it that way. But that's how these lessons go. Believe it or not a lot of prep goes into these. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. But here we are. That's why Sweetwater pays me the big bucks and they send me the finest instruments. Anything you get at Sweetwater, please use my link because I get credit for whatever it is. Luna's got a bunch of awesome other guitars. I use their Parlor at my other spot I unboxed, I think like a month or 2 ago. I love that. That little Parlor guitar thing is like the perfect size to have around. Luna, my love. All right, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna make it a little musical, right? Let's put a little strumming pattern on it. The whole thing now is gonna sound like this. Okay, so I'm using chord voicings to get back to the beginning, and now we're going to introduce some other stuff and then add a little riff, all right? So everything we've done here is just a C major 7 chord, right? So let's go back here. How can we do this? How can we get back? Well, we're going to call ourselves as playing in the key of C major. Now, you might be like, well, that's obvious. Well, actually, major 7 chords can occur on the 1 chord in a key or the 4 chord in a key, kind of like when I was demonstrating with that G major to C major 7 thing, right? So if C is the 4 chord, G major could also be the 1 chord and a major 7 chord. I want to make G a dominant 7 chord, which means C is the 1 chord and G is the 5 chord. If that made no sense to you, check out my Patreon. I also have a companion lesson of sorts using the same guitar that I'm posting on my Patreon at the exact same time. You might want to check that out. There's a link in the description for that too. But we're going to walk back through the chord scale to get to a G dominant 7 chord voicing to illustrate the difference between major 7 and dominant 7 chords, right? So again, we ended up right here. We're on that 8th fret of the E string. Now I want to go back through to G, all right? So this is really easy because you can track the odd numbered frets. We're gonna go from that C to a B, A, and G, or just the 7th fret, 5th fret, or the 3rd fret. Cool thing about Luna guitars is they have little moons on there as the inlays to help guide the way, just as old Fishermen use the moon to guide themselves much better than how can fishermen use the moon to guide themselves home, and I can't even like navigate the New York City subway system without getting terribly lost. I don't know. Helpless out here. That's why I need you guys to use my affiliate link. All right, so we got this. We're gonna go to this moon right here, the 7th fret, B, and we're gonna use this shape right here. I love this one because it's all the same fret. This is technically kind of like a minor 7 chord voicing. So it's just middle finger 7th fret on the E string, ring finger 7th fret on the D string, pinky 7th fret on the G string. Now the cool thing about this is B minor 7 isn't a chord in the key of C. It's actually B minor 7 flat 5. But if we leave the 5th out of it and we just have the root note, the major 7, and the minor 3rd, who's to say? Who's to say what key we're in? We can use this as a B minor 7-ish chord, right? Just without the flat 5. But we can do this, and then this again. And then let's do it one more time, but with a little variation, a little sauce on it, right? So we've got 7, 7, 7, and again, I'm skipping the A string, just kind of using my middle finger to nudge up against it and mute it. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the A, which is a 6th chord in the key of C, A minor 7. Then I'm gonna go to the 3rd fret, which is G, which is G7. So now we've got a slightly different chord. We've got 3E, 2A, 3D, 4G, right? So same thing, but my pointer finger is gonna go where it kind of naturally wants to go on the 2nd fret there. And my pinky's gonna splay out a little bit and get that 4th fret on the G string. It's gonna go one higher, right? So we've got C major 7, B minor 7 almost, A minor 7 pretty much, G dominant 7. And that's gonna bring us back to C, right? We're gonna add that little flare riff thing in between. But all together it's gonna sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so see how I quickly went back through like that? And then I'm gonna do a little arpeggio riff, which comes from spelling out that chord, right? This is why chord spelling is so important, because aside from allowing you to know what chords are in what keys, what chord voicings you can use for different chords, it also really helps to visually make connections to different chords with single notes, right? Which I think is a very elegant way to connect chords together. So the 5 chord almost always leads you back home to the 1 chord, right? So we're gonna, after this G, spell the chord out, then C. So 3, 5, 7, 5A, 7A, open A, 3. So the notes would be G, A, B, D, E, A, C, which is really kind of like a cool way to essentially play almost every single note in this scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. We're missing, apologies to the F, but again, that's kind of a cool little riff to get back there. Last thing I want to say, if you don't want to do the riff, that's totally cool. I think there's actually a lot of utility in just taking this chord shape and then going right to this chord shape. In fact, this is how I want to challenge you to do this. I want you to go from a G7 to a C major 7 without having your fingers leave the strings, okay? I think something that we're maybe guilty of when we're starting out is like, all right, I'm gonna make this chord, I'm gonna go to another chord voicing I wanna practice. I'm just gonna abandon ship, start over, and there it is, right? That's great, that's a clean way to do it, but I think a more efficient way to do it faster, is to just work on smushing that chord into each other, right? So have everything move together back and forth. See how my fingers aren't leaving the frets? They're not leaving the strings at all. They're just kind of really gliding into that next thing. Just like that. And again, easier said than done, but you move them kind of as a mass, right? It's hard to it's hard to move multiple fingers at once without thinking of one specific one. So if that's where you're at, which again, I was there for a long, long time, maybe think about your pinky first. Be like, all right, I got to get from 4 on the G string to 5 on the B string, right? But do that, start reaching for it, and then that's going to naturally drag your other fingers kind of around. And then it's like, all right, well, now that I'm here, I just got to get my ring finger next to the 5th fret on the D string, and that's naturally going to bring my middle finger to where it's going to go, and then I can just land my pointer finger on the root note. So again, true multitasking, the scientists will tell you is impossible. Your brain can't do 2 things at once. But basically, if you start doing that, that's going to drag the form there. Then you can make little adjustments from there and start over. And then to the next one, and then the next one. And the next one back home. Just like a majestic eagle soaring over the mountains trying to get home, that could be you going from the 1 chord to the 5 chord in a totally superfluous way that is inefficient but sounds pretty good, right? It's funny, I'm talking about efficiency and I'm like, well, let's play every major 7 chord voicing instead of just staying still and then go home and begin where we start. So I get that, but also I think it's just kind of like a cool musical exercise. And even if you don't remember all of this stuff, like I know I talk super fast, and the point is not to remember everything, it's to start making some kind of connection, right? If all you take from this is this leads to this, right? It's like, all right, I just know that there's my B, there's my major 7 thing, I just got to get there. And these are always connected. Start there. And then it's like, all right, well, now I got these 2 chord voicings, whatever key I'm in, right? It doesn't even have to be the 1 chord in key. Let's do something totally different. Let's be like B flat. Right? 6 fret on the E string. Remember we said the 4 chord this works too, so we just go through the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or just down a string. E flat, right? B flat major 7 to E flat major 7? Like, are you kidding me? These are complicated chords. No, they're not. You just start here, and then you just go down a string. And it's like, all right, you know this E flat major 7 chord voicing now, and you know another one because it just lines up right here. And then you know yet another one and another one. It's ridiculous. The amount of E flat major 7 chords you just got tricked into learning, courtesy of Luna Guitars and Sweetwater, which you don't even have to spend a lot of money to get an awesome guitar like this. It has a built-in tuner, incredible electronics. It has binding, which is like so sexy. Look how good the back, everything about this guitar is awesome. I'm stoked. I didn't even tell you about the hard shell case it comes with. Check out the unboxing video if you want to see that case. The case might be the most impressive thing about it. Anyways, I'm going to go review the New York City subway map again because I don't know why that's a goal of mine. I guess because my sister lives there and I want to impress her, but that doesn't impress anybody because it's just a basic human understanding of how to get around a metropolis. Working on it, guys. Thanks for watching. Click that Sweetwater affiliate link for anything you want to get. Thank you to them once again. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments section or the website and check out the accompanying lesson on Patreon. Talk to you soon.